This is a dead egg if I ever saw one. You know? But every once in a while you say, that looks interesting. And then you're off and running. It'll be a lot of fun. But joint ventures are the way to go. And I was going to give you a recommendation. How did I lose my place on my notes? This is terrible. 11, 12. Anyway, there's a book. Hang on there just a second. Oh, there it is. Found my place. One of the best textbooks on this, if you're interested in this aspect of investment, you should get this textbook. It's a little bit pricey. It's 150 bucks, but it's well worth every penny of it. You will learn from this textbook all of the mysteries and secrets of joint venture agreements that it would take you several lifetimes to acquire from experience. And it's called Corporate Partnering by Curtis Sahakian. Corporate Partnering. And it's available on the internet from the Corporate Partnering Institute. No surprises there.
What's his list? Can you spell that list?
Corporate Partnering Institute.
Curtis
Sahakian. S-A-H-A-K-I-A-N. It's a magnificent book. Magnificent. It's almost, it makes you feel like you've been a fool all your life when you realize all of the stratagems that corporations use when they deal with each other. I wasn't prepared to talk about this, but one of them was, for example, when you go into an agreement with the company, you must, at the time of entering the agreement, design an exit strategy. You must, at that time, determine how you're going to get out of it, because they say that almost all partnerships end up in disaster eventually. When people start to become dissatisfied with the arrangement. And then at that time, it's a little bit late to start negotiating how you're going to break up, you know? It's sort of like going into a marriage and determining how you're going to divorce before you even get married. It's kind of that sort of a thing. And another piece of advice is always reveal as little as possible of your venture to your partner, because he's there to get everything that you know, because eventually he's going to become your competitor. Wow, that makes sense, doesn't it? So you get an idea of the kind of real solid, real-world advice you're going to get in this book. It sounds like I'm selling this book and not reading it. All right. Real estate. What about real estate? It's an excellent investment. And in spite of what Rusty said, you know, he said location, location, location doesn't count. Well, it certainly doesn't count when you're looking for a home. But if you're looking for commercial real estate, location's pretty important. You don't have to worry about that. You don't want to open up a gas station in the middle of the desert. Oh, maybe you do, come to think of it, there's a road out there. But if there's no road, it's not a good location. But real estate as a commercial investment is excellent in my view, because it has underlying value. And again, like all of these other investments, you must be prepared to become your own expert. So you can make your own evaluation, or the other option, of course, is to find professional help, a turnkey operation, somewhat like the Pinnacle program. You don't really have to know much about real estate with it. It's not really about real estate, as Rusty has said. It's a turnkey operation, and so you don't have to become an expert. That makes a lot of sense to me. But if you want to go beyond that, and you go into the real estate market, it's a good field to be in. But I would recommend you become very knowledgeable in real estate if you want to take it on your own. I think the Pinnacle investment has an excellent risk-reward ratio. The risks are there, no question about it, but they're relatively small when you look at them compared to the potential, the reward that is certainly there. So I think real estate is an excellent area to look at, and I've already mentioned going into business for yourself, so I don't need to cover that. So that completes my list of things to look at. All of this sounds kind of academic. How does it apply to you? It's just, I cannot give you the best investment for you. As I said earlier, if you just made a list of all of these things to look at and think about, then when you actually look at an investment potential, an opportunity, and you just go down this list, look at each one for a few moments, you'd be surprised how easy it is to say this is for me or it's not for me. You don't really have to spend your life examining these things. Now let's talk about freedom. I have to quit this. I'm supposed to quit it right now. So let me do that. I'll give you a summary statement. The destruction of the economy and the weakening of our financial independence is obviously an area of great concern for all of us. But there is something equally important, if not more so, happening at the same time, and that is the loss of our personal freedom. As we surrender more and more of our freedom of choice in the economy, as we surrender that to government control, and as the government takes over more and more aspects of our lives in the economy, as they take over the banking industry and run the automobile companies, and provide for our health care and our retirement benefits and our unemployment insurance and everything, food, home. To that degree, they're taking us over. We become vassals of them. We're losing our freedom. And I'd like to devote the next session for about a half an hour to my concept of how we can reverse this process, not only to preserve our financial independence, but to preserve our freedom as well. Because as I see it, if we look only at the monetary issues, we're kind of like the passengers on the sinking Titanic counting their money. The system is going down, and we have to think about the system and how to restore the system if we're going to survive. I've given a lot of thought to that issue, as you can well imagine. I've been through just about every phase of this freedom movement that you could possibly imagine ever since I started back in 59 is when I really got started. By 1960, I was in full gallop. And I didn't know very much in 1960, but I knew enough that I realized our country was in dire straits. And I decided that I would quit my job. I was working for a large corporation, a big insurance company. I decided I would quit my job, get out of the corporate rat race, and go into crusading full time. And I've been doing that ever since about 1960. And in that period, I've gone through all of the possible positions you could possibly imagine, everything from extreme euphoria to extreme despair. There was a time I was considering joining the guns and groceries people. Just go find a place in the mountains, get your grocery stacks away and get plenty of ammo, and just dig in and wait for them to come and get you. It's easy to laugh about that now, but I was dead serious at a certain point of time because I thought it was, all over. Well, I've kind of mellowed a little bit. Now I just go in for the guns and forget the groceries. Just kidding. But anyway, but I've dealt with this issue in the back of my mind. How are we really going to turn this system around? And gradually the answer evolved until it wasn't about 2000, 2001, that it began to dawn on me that there were two significant areas in the freedom movement that were missing. And the more I thought about it, the more it was possible to identify those areas and to get really clear in my mind how important they were and how terribly missing they were from the freedom movement. The one is the necessity of holding power. That is a tough one to deal with because those of us in the freedom movement for years have been preaching against the dangers of political power, economic power, other kinds of power. And for years we've said, power is the problem. Lord Acton told us that power corrupts. And absolute power corrupts, absolutely. Kind of rolls off your tongue. But it's true, power does corrupt. So therefore, I can remember as a young guy